But today we wanted to talk about what our core capability and how it's kind of developed over recent months. So as it says on screen, EveFile, you may not be aware of it, but we are or came from a very linear program evidence progressive assurance background. So mobile tools that enable people to track the progress of work and progress of a job through mobile apps and web-based platforms to collect that data. And we've seen a real movement over kind of the last 6 months, certainly, of a kind of a new need and that BIM focus come into the work that we do. And it's always been a little bit detached. We've always been very much aware of BIM and the need for BIM to be part of what we do. But that connectivity to BIM has always been something we've, I suppose, kind of struggled to get our hands on. So today I'm going to try and cover a little bit of what the EveFile view of BIM is and how we work with 3D Repo. And to kind of achieve that, I'm going to try and take you through a bit of a case study and a whistle-stop tour of a case study of some of the work we've done with John F. Hunt on the Sugar House Island site near Stratford. So we've been speaking to those guys about the need to deliver progressive assurance in the field, real-time views of the data, and feeding that back into the decision-making process that enables us to see a complete view of the data and feed that into our BIM models. So we started the discussion speaking to John F. Hunt. They actually very kindly did the intro to us to 3D Repo, and that's how our kind of partnership has developed. So if I dive into the case study, hopefully that will enable us to bring these two worlds together. So, and this is not just a need that we've seen from John F. Hunt either recently. This is a kind of generic need that we've come across in the market to be able to provide a central tracking and evidence of the work that's being done. So where the model ends and the actual work in the field begins, the unison of bringing those two worlds together, everything from the assets in the model through to the work and the inspection test plans done in the field. How does that data all come together, and how can we ensure that that's feeding back into the model and we can get a real-time view of what's happening, the issues, the problems, and the decisions that need to be made? How can I look at that through the model and through the information that we're gathering in the field to make informed decisions about, the program of works and how we do that? Getting rid of the paper, making sure we've got one system view of it all, digitizing that process, giving you a single view via the browser. That's always been a challenge. The models are huge. We've heard that tonight. And also linking those models to that data is a challenge. Multiple systems, it's difficult. And doing it through a browser or an app, even more so. And this is one of the challenges leveled by John F. Hunt as well. Being able to pull that point of interest data into the forms and the processes that we need to do in the field. So we've got the model in 3D Repo, we've got the process, the location, and the data and the workflow that we need to do in the field. So how do those two worlds come together, and how do I deploy that? And also then getting that kind of digital dashboard. Here's my model, here's the work, here's the progress. Where's my issues, where do I focus my time, how do I change those program of works, or how do I make decisions that can affect that and improve it? And also to provide all of that data together, so feeding data from the BIM model into the field, and then the information that's captured back, so issues, NCRs, QA referrals, whatever it might be. How can I create a universe that brings those two things together and creates an evidential flow of, here's my model, here's what I did to build that particular scheme. How do I then evidence that? How do I pull those two worlds together and have a single source of the truth? So we developed this out with 3D Repo and John F. Hunt, and hence the partnership. So I'm going to try and very quickly take you through how we deployed that. So John F. Hunt deployed their federated models into 3D Repo. So within that capability, it gives us the potential to map all of our points of interest within the model, and we use the 3D Repo issues process to then link each asset into EveFile. So that simple link for every point of interest in our model, all the BIM information, all the asset information, once created in the model, is pushed into 3D Repo, and that subsequently then gives us the capability to map our points of interest and our issues, and those issues then link directly into EveFile. So the system link for John F. Hunt was that simple. We have our models, we deploy them, and then from accessing the assets and the BIM information in the model, we can then push that out into the field, and the people in the field using EveFile can quite simply and quickly get access to the workflow and all the forms, information, data assets that they need to complete that specific asset within the build. All of the metadata that sits in the model therefore flows from here into EveFile, and that subsequently the information captured in the field, whether it be forms, photographs, video, will also flow back into the model, giving us that single version of the truth. And the end goal for this is to work both ways. So very quickly, 3D Repo will deploy forms and process into the field, and the information we capture in the field will be pushed straight back into the model. How does this look in every file? So the BIM model then maps to a GPS view. So we can see exactly where that sits in Google Maps or any other mapping tool. We can then very quickly start to overlay that BIM information into the workflow. So if it's a gully or a drain, or if it's a roadway or whatever it might be, we can determine a different workflow or a different set of data that needs to be captured. And that is deployed in real time once that asset's created from 3D Repo, pushed out to those every file users in the field who can then fill out that data, follow the workflow, and then as soon as the workflow is created, it's pushed instantly back up to that link in 3D Repo. So you've got your model view, you've got the live view, and all of that's available through one browser. So the issue relationship, once it's created, once it's in the hands of someone using every file, they've got the web browser and the app, and the information is synchronously shared between the two. We can also then create all of the inspection test plans, activities and associated documents that are needed in the field. So once that model's deployed and that information is pushed into every file, we can then ensure that any drawings, any additional information that's needed for that job, any video taken from the device, anything that's related or useful to make decisions around the build process that ties into the model can be deployed through every file. We can also include attachments, redlining of drawings, anything like that can also be overlaid as well. So again, you get that complete view from within every file, which again relates back to the asset within the BIM model. And also we can start to apply some much more complicated workflows. So not just forms, but QA referrals, as I've mentioned, NCRs, issues, comments, dialogue between the designers or the engineers in the field can happen from the app and be pushed back and seen from that link directly within 3D Repo. So it's a very powerful tool that enables you to collaboratively work around what's happening in the field and also feed that into the owners of the model. All of this is mobile as well. So the design for John F. Hunt delivered this on a ruggedized tablet. So all of the forms and all of the check sheets and everything around the build of an asset were all deployed over 4G, and all the data collected and synced and pushed back via that network. Also, the Every File platform gives you all the reporting capabilities to look at where each of those assets is in its workflow, how many forms have been completed, how many QA referrals or issues have been created. And that can be broken down by any cuts of data by user or by task. So we're just coming to the end of the pilot, and there's more that John F. Hunt wants us to do, and there's more capability we want to bring into this connection because it's worked really well. And there's some feedback as well about how the pilot's gone at the back end of this pack. But we also can see the capability of bringing in much more footage and cloud point data. There's more program metadata that can be built in and combined to enable this real-time connection between the works and the BIM model. More digital evidence that can be collected that every file's working towards being able to deliver. And these direct links into a CDE, so being able to provide and push all this information combined into a central system is a really powerful enhancement that we're looking to make as well. And the real thing is this is delivered, yes, it's 2 cloud apps, but the experience is very much 3D Repo into every file and the information going back the other way. So the whole thing that we've talked about is accessible on any John F. Hunt mobile device. And finally, just one bit of feedback about how it's worked. I think this has really been a very powerful unison of 2 products that have worked really well together to deliver that scheme. But the key point here in the feedback has been it's really customizable in what we can deploy and really collaborative. So it's a very powerful way to take the model into the field and really understand how that information is being fed back into the model and also having a bearing on the issues and making things right first time. Thank you very much.